How do I win my DCF assessment? This is a question I'm asked all the time. I got a call the other day from John, not his real name, and his wife, whose name was Paula. And they asked the exact same question. Kevin Seaver, how do I win my assessment? I said, well, there's not just one thing. It's not like hitting a home run over the Green Monster at Fenway Park. It's about hitting a lot of singles and getting a lot of singles so that we score a lot of runs. Positive things. One positive step leads to another positive step, leads to another positive step. The first step you want to do is find out who the social worker is, who the social worker supervisor is, who the supervisor's area program manager is, and who the area program manager's area clinical manager is, then find out who the area director is. That's the chain of command. And you want to make sure that your communication is clear and with clarity. So the first thing you want to do is reach out and establish dates for home visits. When they're going to be. That's convenient mutually for all. And when that home visit's about to occur, you call the social worker the night before and leave a message to call you on your cell phone if for whatever reason it does occur, an emergency comes up and the social worker may have to cancel. And then what you do, instead of getting mad or angry or upset, like a recent client of mine, his name was Abe. Abe got really upset. I said, Abe, things happen in life. Have you ever been in a car accident? I said to Abe, he says, of course I have, Kevin. Did you intend that? He said, no. So sometimes things come up that DCF doesn't plan. They have emergencies. They get into car accidents. They get flat tires. Things happen. Between 2002 and 2006, we had a governor here by the name of Mitt Romney. We used to always say back then, Mitt happens. Well, Mitt does happen. So remember that. Don't be so hard on DCF. You're going to have mistakes and you're going to need to have things rescheduled too. Trust me in this one. So does DCF. So let's be flexible. The next thing is, once you get that DCF worker, you want to reach out to them and find out what it is you can do to get your file. Usually that's to send a letter to the area director. So get the proper spelling of that person's name, their address, and send a letter, send an email, fax it if you have to, but make sure you have copies of everything. And then in 30 days, you follow back up on that and re-ask for that, because the department has 30 days to get you that file according to the regulations. Be patient. Work with the social worker. Make sure you understand what it is that this social worker is looking for over the 60-day work period. Plan the visits ahead of time. People get busy. You want to make sure that social worker makes you a priority. When you write to the social worker, if need be, you get any static in your attic, you CC the supervisor. If the nonsense continues, you put the APM on there. If the nonsense continues, you put the ACM on there, area clinical manager, and also the area director. Go up the food chain. Most times you're not going to get such static. Social workers are busy. They want to get the job done too, as you do. And most social workers want to close your case, as you do. But you got to give them the red meat. And what's the red meat? You got to give them the facts and the evidence, the documents. So if your child's going to a doctor, get the pediatrician's medical records to show all your children up to date medically. Same thing with the school. Get all the school records. Show they're going to school. Get a letter from the school. Get a letter from the pediatrician. If your kids are in therapy, get a letter from the therapist. Children are up to date. Children are attending on a regular basis. Children are making good progress in therapy. Children are of no concern. Because remember now, all these individuals, the pediatrician, the school, the therapist, are all what? They're mandated reporters. And if they have suspicion of abuse, they have to report. So they haven't reported. But what you're doing is you're confirming that. And what you need to do is give the social worker the red meat to go to the supervisor, the area program manager, area clinical manager, area director, say, hey folks, I got the goods. Now why do you want to do that? Because sometimes these are going to ask you, almost every case, to sign releases. I don't like releases. Why? Why does Attorney Seaver not like releases? I'm going to tell you why. Social workers get up and go poof. Had a case, the woman's name was Julie. And Julie had a social worker on assessment for almost 4 months. And all of a sudden, poof, the social worker disappeared. Where'd the social worker go? I have no idea. Just get up and quit the department. And then there was nothing in the file regarding the assessment. And there was no dictation notes left. So now we had to start from ground zero, because we had signed releases and none of the collaterals were called, unbeknownst to us and to much of the chagrin and surprise of DCF. Now DCF, much to their credit, the higher-ups, a couple of them apologized. And I got it. This was not a very good worker, and that's why they quit. With that said, my client was not very happy. Julie was very pissed off, and I don't blame her. But I rationalized with her that sometimes, again, it happens, right? So now what do we got to do? We went and got the school records and a letter from the pediatrician, and records from the pediatrician, and a letter from the school, and a letter from the therapist, and a letter from all the collaterals after school, put everything together. We gave DCF the red meat so they could shut down and close the case ASAP. Now, that should be done in every case. Do not rely upon your social worker to do what you need to do. And why do I say that? You're the mama bear and the papa bear. Protect the baby cubs. And how do you do that? With evidence and facts. Don't wait for DCF, because sometimes you sign releases, they never call the collaterals. And then it holds up the case. So if you get the evidence and you get the facts, let's produce it. And is it a pain in the neck? Of course it is. No one wants to have to go do all this work. However, go the extra mile. Your kids are worth it, aren't they? I ask clients all the time, what's your most important resource and asset in your family? And it's their children. Damn skippy they are. So are your kids worth it to go get the medical records, the pediatrician letter, the school records, the school letter, go get therapy records, so forth and so on and on and on and on, and collateral? Of course they are. So you then, if the social worker gets promoted or quits or goes to a different division or gets a different job or God knows what, a woman, what audacity she had. She had a baby. She was on family leave for a long time. So there's all types of reasons why DCF will leave the case. I also had a social worker who was, seriously injured. So we have to roll with this. So we need to foresee what's going to come at us. And what I foresee is DCF worker not being here for whatever reason. So we control the evidence and the facts by producing them. And not playing abracadabra, hocus pocus, or tricks or flicks or whatever you want to call it, but by providing the red meat, the true, accurate story that cannot be challenged. That the children are up to date, that they're attending school, that they're doing well, that this is reflected in their attendance and their grades, and that they're physically well with the pediatrician, and they're playing sports and gymnastics or cheerleading or gymnastics or cheerleading, and on and on and on. They're doing the right thing. And so that's very powerful evidence, very powerful facts that your family doesn't need nor want any services, and the case should be closed. And let's get down to brass tacks. Let's go fight it. And if DCF pushes back, you just keep banging on them, because when you're in the right, you don't back off. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And when you're wrong, you got to back off. And you got to say, hey, I take ownership. I didn't do well here. I made a mistake. And some clients don't get the red meat, and therefore the case goes on, which it should. So my job, and I'm a tough taskmaster, I'm going to ride you. I'm going to get those pediatric records. I'm going to get those medical records. I'm going to get the school records. I'm going to get the letter from the school. I'm going to get the therapist letters. I'm going to get the psychiatrists, the psychologists. I'm going to get the school coaches. I'm going to get whatever I need to push this case to where it needs to close. And tell DCF, here you go. You got A, B, C, D, E, and F. Here's the red meat. And go take this Miss Social Worker or Mr. Social Worker to your supervisor, and to the area program manager, area clinical manager, area director. Now tell me this case shouldn't be closed. We've been with you. We cooperate in the spirit of cooperation. We've done everything we're supposed to do. Close my case. End of story, and everybody goes home happy.